I made it. Good morning. Hi, Rose. Hi, Rosie. Good morning, Kate. Hi, Anna. Hi, Jen. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Kayla. Good morning, everybody. Oof. My morning's off to a wild start already. I'm like, gonna pull it down here. I thought I was gonna be late for Coffee and Magic, but I'm not. Hey, Janelle. I want to go back to bed too. I'm so tired. Whew. All right. We haven't done this in a while, but I think we need some serious smudgies this morning. So I'm gonna get started on that. I feel like all I'm doing these days is lighting things on fire. All right. You ready? Here you go, TikTok. You got some smudgies for you. Smudgies for you, Instagram. And of course for you, YouTube. Whew. And for me, get my boobs. All right, we'll just let that burn. My family visit was good. A little intense at times, lots of energies, but it was all in all very good. I got to spend some time with my adorable baby, so that was nice. But it was kind of an interesting weekend, generally speaking, because of the insane energy that we are currently in. So it's hard for that not to affect literally everything. Good morning, Freddie. Hi, Christine. Hi, Rosa. Hi, Lori. Hi, Tati. Good morning, Olivia and Valerie and Jennifer and Kim. Woo! All right. Well, how are you feeling? I was Mm, um we had our energy spike this weekend that we had been talking about. I think for some of you, you felt that energy spike on Saturday night. Um, some of you, if you if you hop on my YouTube, I believe you can listen with captions on YouTube, or you can watch the replay on YouTube with captions. I think so. Just so you know that YouTube has captions. Hey, Nancy. So anyway, we had this energy spike this weekend. I'm curious how that affected you. I know we've been talking about it, but it's what we're learning now is it's one thing to like talk about things, and it's another thing to feel them in your body and around you in your energy field. So how is that going for you? We have live channeling tomorrow, and we have another energy spike come in on July 5th. Did we talk about that already? I can't remember. But regardless, we're in a gauntlet of energy spikes, okay? And it's going to be really important that you understand those spikes, and understand that you are not like you don't have to ride them. You can kind of observe them, and we'll talk more about that obviously. But it's we've been preparing for it. You definitely can do this. Um, Cassie says major downloads and integration, a bit rough in the body Saturday evening into night, painful joints and tummy issues. Tati says it's been calm, but I haven't been able to sleep at night. Hey, Danny. Janelle says my energy is raw. And I have had to use all my skills to stay grounded. Yep. And Freddie says, I lost my mind Friday night and felt like shit Saturday. I hope you're feeling better now. Hi, Nicole. So last week we had a lot of us had mommy stuff come up, mother wound issues come up, and we just kind of rolled into the weekend with that one. And oh my God, Rosa, what the hell? Rosa said she was in Times Square on Saturday night. Talk about an energy spike. No, thank you. I'm sending you all the smudgies. Charlene says, these energy spikes have been stripping me of all my energy and keeping me from sleeping. Let me ask you guys a question because I know what the answer is for me at this point, but what helps you to mentally navigate and handle these energy spikes? Do you know, like, what helps you to do that, like from a psychological perspective? Okay, I'm not talking about like, oh, I like to take a bath or, read a book or whatever that kind of thing is. I'm saying like what helps you psychologically? Like do you find it makes you feel better to be able to freely talk about what's going on? Do you need to be alone? Like what feels good? Cassie says massive amounts of alone time and processing. Charlene also says solitude and sleep. Christine says talking to my people. Lori says being outside. Um, Saber says I've been struggling, about to fly for the first time since COVID, and with all that's going on, I'm having a rough go. Cried 3 times last night. Good thoughts appreciated. Hey, Saber, like sending you all the love. Like I've been on a plane a few times since, and just remember, like you're okay. You got this. Like it's a shit show, but you'll at least be flying above it. um, Stacy says white light meditations. Nicole says being alone, but also our group. Anna says alone time and rest. But Kate says I have to talk about it. Tati says perspective shift. Curly headed teacher says I definitely have to talk and let it all out and word vomit to my people. Yes. Janelle says it's really if it's really intense, I just have to be the observer and go inward. Excuse me. Oh, the smudge is getting into my brain. Holly says alone time. So it feels like, generally speaking, in our mix of people today, we have a mix of people who like need to be alone, and then people who need to talk. Um, I'm definitely in the camp of I need to talk. I need to process and talk during shouldn't even say during energy times like this because it's been an energy time like this for a long time, but I'm actively channeling these days all the time, which can be really exhausting. But luckily, I do have people who I can word vomit everything that comes out, so that's very helpful. I want to speak to this. Janine saying trying to figure out how I will help. Listen, popular and unpopular opinion. I know we all want to help, but here's the thing. This current system is not worth saving. That's my opinion. Um, we have so many amazing people who have tried tirelessly and given their lives honestly in the pursuit of fixing or helping or trying to make this okay. The reason it's not okay is because it was built that way. And there isn't going back to a time when it wasn't this way. It's just now it's gotten to the point where there's no illusions about it. The image that keeps coming through to me, and like I said, we have live channeling tomorrow night, so we will definitely tap in. And I encourage my Normalized Magic members to please email me any questions you want me to add into the live channeling that we can start with those. But this is going to kind of self-destruct, it feels like to me. Like we're going to watch it self-destruct. And the question is, how do we keep ourselves safe while the whole thing self-destructs and simultaneously prepare ourselves for what we're going to have to be doing on the back end, which is where the help is, which is where the healing is. There's going to need to be so much help to assist in building something different and helping those who've been affected. Um, Cassie says we're honestly looking at immigrating to Canada or our island. I think a lot of people are. It was interesting some of the conversations we've had this weekend because I don't know if you guys are noticing this, but I'm noticing that there's a very, very clear division of ways people are communicating with us and understanding this and being affected or not affected by it. It's amazing to me that how many people are just like, oh, this doesn't really affect me, or it's not really newsworthy to talk about. And it's like, wow, how could you think this doesn't affect you? Right? Um, my Facebook has been like, stay away. People I don't even know I follow have been just like starting arguments with people. And I just, there's no conversation that's going to assist a person in being a decent person. It's not a thing. The brainwashing is so deep that it's going to be it has to be an inside job to have that realization. You are going to wear yourself out trying to talk to people and get some sense into their heads about how this affects everybody, because the truth of the matter is that's not the concern. People really concerned about babies dying? Not really. It's controlling women. And what happens next? This is the first thing that I thought, because like I said, I told you guys, I think I made a TikTok about this, but taking away bodily autonomy for women for medical procedures is is huge, and privacy, huge. And what happens next? Gay rights, right? What happens next? This is going to turn into, it's going to reveal itself to be a fascist state so fast. You're gonna be like, whoa, fundamental Christian fascist state. You're gonna be like, what just happened? Except it's been here the whole time. And I think that's what we all need kind of support in, is kind of like, as we wake up yet again. I feel like we're having so many wake ups right now to just how fucked up all of this really is, and how the more you look at it, the more you're like, oh, ooh, ooh. Um, Before we get into card pulls, because the Kali deck is staring at me, I want to tell you a little rabbit hole that Jen and I went down yesterday, because we were just having a conversation, and somehow we got talking about the Pledge of Allegiance. And I was talking to her about how growing up I wasn't allowed to do the Pledge of Allegiance because we grew up Jehovah's Witness, and that was one of the rules. Like, you don't do Pledge of Allegiance. So I never did. And we looked up the Pledge of Allegiance and learned that the original Pledge of Allegiance was written in, when was it? It was like I think it was the early 1900s or late 1800s, but it wasn't that long ago. And it was written as a promotional type thing for a magazine to increase subscriptions um, after the war, late 1880s. And yeah, thank you, Jen. And we were like, what? Because we thought this was like here forever, right? But no. So it was originally written without one nation under God. It was just one nation indivisible. It was, but whatever. So we were like, well, when did under God get put in there? And we were kind of shocked to realize, as we were doing the research on that under God wasn't added until the 1950s. Okay. When Eisenhower put it in there due to this priest guy named Doherty, I think was his name. I'm totally bastardizing the story, but basically, this priest Doherty was a very popular Scottish priest in the New York City area, and he was like, why isn't God in here? Why is God not involved? Because in his mind, God save the queen, God save the king. Like, it makes sense that God would be a part of this. And so he made that argument, and Eisenhower was in attendance at one of his sermons and was like, yeah, great idea, and made it a thing and just kind of rolled with it. And it was a few years after he did that, put under God in the Pledge of Allegiance in 1954. And I think it was 1957 that he made it mandatory to put um, one nation under God on the paper money. Okay. And made it our nation's motto, under God. So I think we need to look at the actual words that are currently describing the place we live. We say that church and state are separate, but when have they ever been? You know, we say that you have the right to practice whatever religion feels most aligned with you, but you really don't unless you're a Christian, right? It's very specific. This is the right way, and then there are wrong ways. So, just kind of looking at it from that fundamentalist perspective, it's like it's not so great. And I know Stacey's like, look at you with all the numbers. I don't even know what to tell you. Don't get used to it. I don't know what day it is half the time still. So I tell you that story to encourage you to be curious about everything and open to understanding what you believe to be fact may not indeed be fact. Most people would have assumed, right? Would you have assumed that the Pledge of Allegiance was there so long ago, right? Just kind of part of it, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. So, and the other thing that you'll enjoy, that was another fun fact about the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance was written with the military in mind as a salute. And the way that it was originally written, it would be your hands would be down at your side first, and then you would do a salute like this. And then I get which words cued this, but at some point during the Pledge of Allegiance, you would go from this to this. Do you see what I'm doing? Okay. That was the Pledge of Allegiance until after World War II, they were like, that looks a little too much like what Hitler's doing. And so they were like, let's just put the hand on the heart. So there's that too. And Jen and I were talking yesterday about what does that mean, right? What does it mean? What does it mean to have a lot of people repeat the same thing over and over again? And what does it mean to do this with your body? Like what is this, what is the energetic signature that happens when you do that with your body? You are touching your third eye. You are using words to pledge yourself. And then you're taking your energy and putting it towards the flag. Yes. Jen says, talk about giving away your sovereignty and make an energetic bond. So pay attention. Pay attention. Okay? Because these are things that we've been doing reflexively and not thinking about. But it's using your energy. It's tapping into your life force energy. And it is manipulative. It is dangerous. And it leads to this hive mentality that allows people to go along with things that they don't even really fucking understand. The thing that blows my mind the most is I haven't heard one man who has been in charge of any of this understand, one, what a uterus is, and two, what pregnancy is. You know what I mean? And for people who do not know any of those things to be making these laws, it's like, that's super. So question everything, stay curious about everything, and watch where your energy is going. You don't need to be hemorrhaging out your energy subconsciously. And that is what you're doing when you do things like that. If you watch any cult documentaries, something that is very similar through all of these different factions, and even when I was in Jehovah's Witnesses, this was the same. We would always sing the same songs, and the songs would be very steeped in the ideology indoctrination of the church, or what our belief system was. And you would have children singing it and adults singing it. You would sing several times in a ceremony. And when you all do that, think about what you're doing. You're lifting your voices in vibration, in unison, all to the same point. You're doing energetic work together. You're doing magic. And it's all moving away from your sovereignty because you don't even really understand what you're doing there, right? You don't know that what you're doing is like a deep magic spell, but that's what you're doing. We've been conditioned to believe that magic is bad and that we need to stay away from anything that's witchy. Meanwhile, everything around us is utilizing those same processes to keep you compliant, to keep you in line, to manipulate everything that's happening. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Channeling should be great tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm going to try not to die. I have a feeling it's going to be a doozy. They just keep getting exponentially doozier. If you do not know what I'm talking about, if you're new, live channeling will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Tomorrow's Tuesday. You can watch live channeling on my YouTube channel. So make sure you've liked and followed or whatever it is with the little bell on my YouTube channel itself. Links to that are in my profile, and you also get an email out if you're on my email list. If you're watching on YouTube, it is free, but you will not be able to ask questions or interact with me. If you're watching from the Zoom group as part of Normalized Magic community, you can interface with me and ask questions, and I encourage you to send your questions ahead of time via email, so I can have them kind of laid out, which would be great. So that's happening. So let's get to the cards. We're actually going to do this a little bit differently this morning because I have to do the Kali deck first. So normally we start with sensory card pulls, but since I woke up this morning, the Kali deck wants to be involved. So let's go ahead and see what she has to say. I'll start doing this. Yes, curly-headed teacher says, I never thought about that before. Mind blown. We make children do this every day. Yeah, we indoctrinate them. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. That's why the reclamation of your own personal sovereignty is your biggest job right now. Freeing that mind and staying curious about everything, asking all the questions, and learning how to channel your rage, channel your outrage, channel all of these big emotions into assisting you with your own personal growth at this time. Let me not do that way. Does that sound annoying? I feel like it's very loud. I need to put a little mat on my desk again. Okay, before we pull Kali, I'm going to do a quick smudge again. I haven't used this deck in a minute. I will remind you also that private sessions are open. The Voxer sessions, if you want to just message me or send me a voice message and, info dump me, ask questions, get some chats going, you can always do that. Those are always available to you. And you can find the link for booking in my profile under Cosmic Concierge if you need to talk. All right. Okay, so this is number 44. It's the Baba Tarini. Okay, let's see what this is. Number 44, I feel like that number's been coming up a lot too. Okay. This is the last one. Ooh, okay, listen. This is the last card in the book. Okay. Are you ready for this? Whoa. All right. I'm going to read it to you. Don't worry. I'm not just going to sit here and read it to myself and make noises. Okay. Baba Tarini, the tantric priestess of karmic release, manifests with the capacity to integrate higher divine energy into even the most stubborn patterning that has so far resisted healing. When momentum is building and you don't know how to stop fueling the fire or reverse the damage, she appears. Her presence indicates that this is a powerful time for spiritual work and healing practices. She will support the work, and much growth can come from it, particularly at this time. No matter how wild they may seem, the storms of your life shall be gentled. You shall emerge unharmed. Goddess Kali, as Bhavatarini, is the tantric priestess of karmic release and spiritual blessing. She liberates devotees from karmic struggles, especially those who keep repeating the same patterns with different players. Her presence implies the Divine Mother's blessing of divine disruption. Sometimes the jolt of the disruption is such a shock that it is temporarily unpleasant, and we feel, therefore, that it is unwanted or harmful. However, once we allow the workings of such disruption to realign our affairs, we will come to recognize and be grateful for what is taking place. We will see it as a saving grace rather than something we had to endure. The oracle predicts the ceasing of restrictive or negative influences. Ma is adorned with flowers in recognition that she is celebrated. Unlike the fierce Kali, who was adored in fearsome places in the dead of night, the kind Bhavatarini is adored in celebrations of the light. The sacred ritual can be very simple. In its most basic form, it is a call to the divine ones to manifest on earth. It is a creation of light and has a cleansing effect. And if the intentions and receptivity are strong enough on the surrounding people and areas, change can occur. All right. I'm seeing if there's anything specifically we need to have here. The Divine Mother recognizes the goodness in your heart and your genuine desire to assist. Yet, she will do what is necessary to protect your spiritual awakening and free you from your attachment, even your attachment to helping others. This doesn't mean that you no longer want to be a healer or that you are blocked from doing so. It means you will not be able to prop up self value using external roles. It means you will not be able to prop up self value using external roles. Ultimately, this is a gift, but it is a lesson that many healers find painful in the beginning. They need to learn how to offer their heartfelt work and not be attached to how it is received. If they see immediate results and powerful effects of the work, the challenge is not to identify with what is happening and make the divine grace about their own ego. If the ego is failing these lessons and getting caught up in feeling superior or inferior, then the Divine Mother will intervene. You are asked to bear the discomfort of no longer relying on certain familiar patterns to give you validation. This will open you up to a greater self realization, self possession, and joyful freedom to be your whole self. All right, then. So that's what Kali has to say for today. I will take a picture of this and post it on the message board for you guys. All right. If you don't see it, will you remind me? I'm gonna do my best to not forget it, but it's kind of what we've been saying. I love it when the cards very clearly say what I'm word vomiting at you to understand, which is that the focus is still here. It's still here. And man, what a time. What a time. All right. So thank you for that, Kali. Wait, was there something I wanted to tell you about that though? I feel like there was something I wanted to tell you about. I don't know. Oh well. Well, I do want to say this. And I sent you an email about it last night because I was super fired up about it. But I feel very strongly, and I'm wondering if you feel this way too. Um, Women and all minority groups at this point outnumber, right? And I think a lot of the bullshit that we see running rampant around here has been allowed to happen because those of us who aren't like that are too fucking polite to say something, or too scared of being uncomfortable, or creating division within their own family, or having to, just deal with anything that feels uncomfortable, confrontation, right? And how do you reconcile that for yourself at this point, right? If you were to say, Sarah, what can I do? I would say, honestly, the biggest thing you can do right now is just not sit down and pretend like it's fucking fine, right? You don't have to fight with everybody, but you also don't need to sit there while, your aunt spews hatred all over the internet and then thinks she can come over and have coffee with you. I think that that's fair. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we are held hostage by our good manners that nobody else has, by the way. And I'm wondering if you're feeling this too, because this really came through for me this weekend, and like having some conversations with my sister about our family, because what I was hearing in our conversation was a disappointment that I have removed myself from a lot of the toxic energy of my family, and that's unfair because even though they act a certain way that's really unkind and like toxic for me, they're still my family, and like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, no. No. Like, I'm absolutely not going to do that. And also, no one ever does that for me. No one has ever in the history of Sarah allowed me to have terrible fucking manners and then forgiven me and made all kinds of excuses for my behavior because, I should just have all those excuses. No one has ever done that for me. Has anyone ever done that for you? Allowed complete tantrum asshole behavior without any repercussion. It's totally fine. And yet, do you, on a consistent basis, do that for people in your lives? Allow them to act out because you can be empathetic and you can say, I know why you are that way, but you really mean well. Guess what? If somebody really means well, then maybe they should act that way instead of us assuming that they mean well just because we want them to, right? Like, is it because of you? Is it because if you think that they're not acting well, like your brain's gonna break? Like, what is it? At this point, however you act is how you fucking are. So let's be really real about that. If you want to help, stop walking around in this world like you need to be on eggshells with everybody and not say how you truly feel. You are the ones who we need to hear from. The people with the biggest voices are the biggest fucking morons here. And yet everyone's listening to them because they have the self confidence to say whatever the fuck they want without any repercussion. Because guess why? They don't care about the repercussion. And people like us have historically held space for that. And we don't need to hold space for that anymore. We don't need to make bad behavior okay and say, well, they'll get it eventually, but I can take it. I can take it. It's totally fine. You don't need to be the whipping post for everybody's bad behavior. And that's kind of what we've been. And I think I've been thinking about that a lot this weekend because it's like, micro and macro. What's happening in the collective is also happening in your life. So look at that. Look at the dynamics of your own family and your own friendships. And do you see places where you don't say true things because you don't want to deal with the like emotional repercussions of that, or being blacklisted in your family, or being, talked about behind your back, which you know is going to happen? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me crazy. But I'm not saying it as an attack on anybody because I've lived my life that way, most of my life, actually. And it's only in the past 6 years or so that I've made such big changes because I don't I don't want that. It's not worth it to me. Like, why? Why would I want to be around anybody who treats me like a jerk? You know what I mean? So, same thing. Why don't you start only saying true things? Why don't you start understanding what you actually believe in and being confident about it, right? You can be really confident about all the issues that are happening right now because I can tell you right now, you're right. And I can tell you right now, they're wrong. It's not a question of facts anymore. It's energy. And it's which energy are you going to be aligning yourself with? And yes, Tati says it's complacency. And neutrality in this case is a choice. It's a choice to not choose one way or the other because you don't want to deal with the consequences, right? So it's time to really heal that one. And I think this one really does connect for a lot of us to the mother wound because that mother energy, that cancer energy, especially for women, really supports the idea that as women, we're supposed to be the emotional support animals for everybody in our lives. It really does support that because it's pretty toxic and pretty broken. And dealing with that mother wound for a lot of us right now means realizing that, again, validation and affirmation needs to come from inside, not from outside. But it's removing the program of finding your worth and meaning from caring for those around you and ignoring yourself and your own needs and basically becoming, everybody's blankie and emotional support tool. So, how do we shift that out? You've already been doing that work. I'm just kind of here to remind you about that. Um, I've been feeling for myself that I have this platform that I've been growing for a few years now. And I have honestly erred on the side of being like not neutral necessarily, but being like, easy to digest and not too divisive. And I'm not really feeling it anymore. I feel like the time for being easily digestible is now done. So I'm just going to say whatever the fuck I want to say. And I don't really need anybody to agree with me because I think I'm here to just say things the way I see them and allow you to do the same thing. Because the more of us who say that, like the more of us who say the things, you're going to realize a lot of us think this way. A lot of us feel this way. We're just too decent and peace loving to get out there and, hurt everybody's feelings, even though everybody's acting completely insane and very, very bad misbehavior. So I'd like you to think about that and think about that in your personal life. I challenge you not to worry too much. I know this sounds crazy, but I challenge you not to worry too much about the actual collective because you are not going to affect change in the collective without first affecting change in your own personal bubble. This comes first. It always has. The idea that you need to move outside of yourself and fix for others first is exactly what keeps you stuck in this space. Because if you're not focusing here and healing this, you're very easily manipulated and you're constantly hemorrhaging out your energy towards somebody else's goals. So rein it back in and ask yourself what you can do right here to heal these things, to speak when you need to speak, to align yourself with the energies that actually feel right for you at this time, and to not beat yourself up for what you did yesterday or what you did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't have any relevance. You can wake up every morning now and decide which timeline you're living in, and I suggest that you do that. We are here in that space now. That is how fast the energy is working. Every day you wake up and you make a choice. Everybody else is doing that as well. They just might not have the cognizance that they're doing it, but you do. So wake up and make some choices. Okay. And like Janelle's saying, um, my father told me yesterday he would never ever vote for a woman because they're emotional. And she said it makes me sad that my own father is like that. And here's the thing. And this is not like about your dad specifically, Janelle, but saying I would never vote for a woman because they're too emotional is literally telling us that you are too emotional. Like, right? Like it's proving that point about yourself. Because what an absolute emotional vomit knee jerk reaction is that to say I would never vote for somebody because I think they're too emotional when each person, regardless of gender, has a way that they act and react in the world, and anybody could know that, right? It's it's such a deep program, but if we were to look at it and say like who's the more emotional, reactive, and out of control sex here, I think we all know. Women feel their emotions, men repress them, and then they go to war and they kill people. So I don't know. I don't know. Like it's not the time, boys. Like sit down and learn how to deal with your own shit and start going to therapy because I don't think I know any woman right now who has the bandwidth to deal with any of this right now. It's like, oh my God, feel your feelings and learn how to deal with them like immediately. No longer doing it. And I find even like as I'm separating with my husband, I notice as I'm moving my energy away from doing his emotional work for him, he's like slowly figuring out, but it is rough. It is rough to lose your emotional prosthetic, which I feel like that's what I've been. So no more taking all of my energy and pulling it right back in here. All right. I think we're not doing sensory card pulls today. We've been doing this for about 45 minutes, and I feel like this doesn't feel like what I want to do right now. I don't doesn't feel like the thing. So we're gonna kind of leave it at that. We've got um, live channeling tomorrow. So, like I said, you can watch that live on YouTube. I would also like to invite all of you who are no longer or not currently in the Normalized Magic community, come check it out because this is a community that we're building. We're creating a container where we can do this, where we can talk about all the things. And when you join Coffee and Magic, or my goodness, when you join the Normalized Magic community, you get to support me and the work I'm doing, and you get to immerse yourself deeper in the community. We've got a full meditation library and make every single one of those for you. We have coffee and coaching on Wednesday mornings, which is small group meetups. And you have the ability to ask questions during live channeling and basically anything else that I start doing, you'll have access to. So if you're interested in joining the community, you can find the link to that in my profile as well. And you can apply. There's a 3-day trial. So if you join today, you'll be able to sample the live channeling and you'll be able to sample the coffee and coaching on Wednesday morning and see if it's a fit for you. So check it out. I love you guys. Take it easy. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself what you need. I'm sending you so, so, so much love. You can find the community if you go to my profile on TikTok or on Instagram. There's like a click here, start here, and click that. And then it'll say apply for the Normalized Magic membership. And if you have any specific questions, you can send me an email or you can DM me on Instagram. Okay? Sending all the love. Have an amazing, amazing day. We got this. I feel very excited to be here with you and very honored as well. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you Wednesday morning, friends. Or Tuesday night, too. I won't forget.